Hey everyone, welcome to or back to my channel, Mel KB Vlogs. Today I want to talk about the 9 things that I wish I knew before moving to New York City to pursue musical theater. So, it is actually this December my 8th anniversary moving to New York City. Yeah! Which is insane to me. Like, it feels like forever ago, but it also feels like yesterday. It's so weird. If you don't follow me, I'm just gonna give you kind of like a rundown of who the heck I am and why you would want to listen to me talk about the things I've learned since I moved to New York. My name is Mel. I got my BFA in musical theater from Coastal Carolina University from 2012 to 2016. And then I moved to New York. Well, first I did a contract on Carnival Cruise Line before I moved to New York. That started 3 days after graduation. So I did my very first cruise contract, which helped me save a good amount of money, and then I moved to New York City. I did my first audition season where I was on the grind, auditioning, hustling, and then I booked literally my dream come true within my first year of living in New York, and that was the national and international Japan tour of A Chorus Line. I still kind of can't believe it to this day, but I booked that tour. I was Val, who sings Dance 10 Looks 3 or Tits and Ass, if you know the show. And what was really cool about that show was that it was directed by one of the original 1975 cast members, Bjork Lee, who now is somebody who is very much in my life to this day. So that was my first like big job in New York. And then after that I did a cruise ship gig with Norwegian Cruise Line, which was great. And then I got back, was auditioning in callbacks for a lot of things, and then the pandemic happened. We had time off from that, and then I kind of got myself in like a very tricky financial situation after the pandemic, so I went back to cruise ships to help make some more money. I did 2 more cruise ship contracts, traveled the world, saw amazing things, and now I'm back in the city finally to finish what I started, and I am on the grind again. So that's my little intro of who I am, but let's just get into it. I'm moving this pillow because this is so uncomfy. Okay, there we go. I have my little list here. We're just gonna go through it. So, my number 1 thing that I wish I knew, and knew that it was okay to do, is save money where you can. And I think now with people moving to New York, seeing there's so much more on social media now to look at with like TikToks and Instagrams where you can really compare to what other people are doing moving to New York. You'll see a lot of people like me. I live in this beautiful studio apartment now. I don't have roommates. You might look at that and think that's how you're gonna start in New York. That is not true. You need to get roommates, try to get your rent as low as possible. When you're first moving here, everything doesn't need to be peachy keen and perfect. You just need to get going. So find the cheapest rent possible. Get those roommates. You don't need to live in a prime area. Just focus on not splurging all the time. And there are some good options for work study through a lot of like the dance studios around the city, like BDC and Steps. So check those out because you can work there and you either get a discount off of classes or free classes as compensation. So check those out. That'll help you save money. Do really anything you can to be hustling to save that money, and then that way you won't have to work as much, and then you will have more time for auditions and everything like that. So save money where you can is number 1. Number 2, know that training is so important and it never stops. Like, I think I thought when I moved to New York, oh, I'll like get a voice teacher and I'll take some voice lessons and whatever, and I'll take class here or there, like dance class, maybe an acting class here or there, but I did my BFA, I'm done. No. No, no, no. Number one, it is so hard to keep up your skills as a musical theater performer. If you don't keep training, you are going to decrease in quality. Also, the industry is ever changing. There's always so much more demand. People are expecting more and more and more from performers. And to be brutally honest, something that I've noticed is the kids now, I call them kids, they're adults, but the people coming out of the BFA programs now, they are insane. Like the things, all of them, the difference in our generation, they all have been doing triple pirouettes since they were 4, where my generation, nobody was doing triple pirouettes until they were like 16. So the bar just keeps going higher and higher with the new people coming in. So if you don't continue to train to keep up with that caliber, you're screwed. So make sure you keep on training, no matter how great you think you are. It is so important. And another thing to be said about training is, number one, it'll help you create a community in the city, which is great. You're gonna make friends that are like, oh yeah, that's my friend from class. Oh, would you want to get drinks after class? Do you want to go out for dinner? You make a community of theater people in the city that you didn't go to college with or that you didn't know growing up. It's a great way to meet new people and to feel like you are a part of the community. That's a part of why I love class. It just makes me feel so much more integrated in the Broadway and theater community in New York. And then another great reason is you can meet choreographers or music directors or acting directors and make connections with these people, and they might refer you for a job one day, or they might be choreographing something that they could bring you in for because they're like, oh yeah, that girl, she's always in my class, let me bring her to audition. You just never know. So putting yourself in those rooms as often as you can is so important. Number 3 is, I wish I like fully understood how auditions work, because it can be so dang confusing. I thought I knew, but I didn't know. So I can honestly do a whole video on that, but I would just say look up online what an ECC is, Equity Chorus Call, EPA, Equity Principal Audition, and how to be seen as non-union at those auditions. If you choose to be equity, how that works. Knowing about the different audition studios, we have Pearl Studios, Ripley Greer, Open Jar, and the Actors Equity Building. Those are like the main places that you're going to be going to audition. I would say for your first auditions, the day before you go to that audition, say it's at Pearl 519. You'll see it on the audition listing, location, Pearl 519. The day before, if this is your first time, go ahead and go to Pearl 519, familiarize yourself with the location, see what's going on, see what the atmosphere is like, and do that for every studio. So then that way when you go to the audition, you're not like freaking out about it. It's not like, number 1, the nerves of auditioning, and then number 2, the nerves of like, I don't know what is going on. Because to be fully honest, it is so overwhelming. There are hundreds of people that get packed into these audition studios, and it's just, it can be overstimulating. It is just a lot. So try to prepare yourself in that way, and don't be afraid to reach out to people to be like, hi, this is my first time going to an ECC and it's for this tomorrow, like, do you have any advice? You guys can always message me on Instagram and ask me. I love to help. So yeah, reach out, figure it all out before it actually happens, because you don't want to be like floundering in Pearl Studios. Trust me, it's scary. So just be prepared. Okay, number 4 is to experiment with day jobs. A lot of people get one day job when they move here, and then they kind of get stuck in it, and especially if they don't like it, then they hate their lives. So just know that It's okay to take that time as well when you first move here to experiment with your day jobs and see, number one, like what you actually enjoy, and number two, what is actually working with auditioning, taking class, what can be worked into your life. So really experiment with that. There are so many things you can try when you first start out, and then you can kind of build from there. So for me, my main job was nannying, and for my first 2 years, honestly, it worked really, really well because it made me the money that I needed to make, and it was flexible enough to allow me to audition. I would drop the kids off at school in the morning, so I would be there at like 6:30, 7 a.m. I would be done by 9, so then I would go to auditions, and then I would pick the kids up from school around 3:30. So I had that chunk to audition, and that worked out really well for me. But then after a while, I realized that I didn't like how I had to be so like on with the kids, and because you want to be like so present with children and give them your all. And then I found that when I was going to auditions, I was exhausted from giving my all the time to people. So then I transitioned to other jobs that kind of I got to sit back a bit more. I did some data processing work for a tech startup. I did front desk at a spa, front desk at a gym, lots of things. So just don't be afraid to try different day jobs and see what works. And if you can, move to New York before audition season starts. Audition season starts in like January and goes into about April. So if you can get here in the summer and then start experimenting with those jobs, and then you'll have it kind of solidified by audition season, that would be my advice. Or 5, it's okay to have ebbs and flows of times where you are auditioning a lot more and training a lot more and working less, or the opposite, working a ton, auditioning and training is just kind of, it's still there, but it's not like the most important thing. When I first moved to New York, I put too much pressure on myself to be doing both constantly at 100%, and I learned that that's just not entirely possible, and it's okay that throughout the year things will ebb and flow. So for example, right now I've been training a good amount in this fall time, but my main priority has been working my day job to make money. So now in January till like January, February, March, I'm going to be focusing way more on auditions, making sure I am all good for them. And the fact that I worked a lot now is going to help me then to still have money to continue. So just be okay with that, and don't put too much pressure on yourself to be doing everything all the time, because it is not possible. You're gonna get burnt out, and it's gonna be crazy. So just allow yourself those ebbs and flows. But I will say, do not let yourself stay in the flow of working a ton to the point where then it becomes addicting, working, saving money, doing everything like that, and then you let auditions and training go to the wayside. Because I have seen a lot of people do that, and then after a year or two they look back and they're like, what have I been doing? Why I moved to New York to pursue theater? Why am I so obsessed with working a million hours at my day job and doing XYZ? So just remember why you moved here and keep that in mind, but be okay with it flowing. As long as the flow continues. Don't get stuck in the flow. Does that make sense? Number 6, don't listen to too many opinions about your career. I would say pick a few trusted people that you go to for advice about your career, whether that be your agent, a mentor, your mom, close friend. Choose just a few. Don't constantly be asking a million people for their opinion about your career, because everybody is going to have their own opinion. Everyone is going to have really strong opinions about your career. Some people won't be coming from a true supportive place. Some people will be giving you advice coming from a place of their own insecurities being put on you. You need to make sure that you are choosing people that you trust and that you know will give you good, unbiased advice. The reason I say that is as I kind of was like moving through my career, I asked way too many people all the time what they thought about, like when I would book a certain job, and I would ask everybody's opinion on it. Do you think I should take this? What do you think about it? Blah, 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 blah. And then I would get all these mixed answers, and I would feel terrible about it. And the truth is, I knew what was best for me, and just hearing from one or two people that I really, really valued their opinion, that helped me. What didn't help me was asking everybody around me. There were a lot of people that judged my decision after I went on the Broadway tour of A Chorus Line, and then I went back to cruise ship gigs. There were a lot of people that judged that and, you know, made it clear to me that that was not the move that they would make and would talk about it with other people. And at the end of the day, I don't regret doing those cruise ship gigs. I grew as a performer, I got to travel the world, and I made a lot of money. I think it brought me to a great place to be in right now in my life. So if I had listened to those people, who knows? Who knows where I would be right now? So, you know best, and choose a few trusted people, okay? Number 7 is don't forget about self-care. And I know that sounds like silly and yeah, but the city is overwhelming. There's so much going on all the time. And it's important to keep checking in with yourself and be like, okay, what do I need right now? If there's a week where you're like, I really need to prioritize some rest. I've been busting my butt in dance class this past month. I need like a week to rest. Maybe I'll take one class this week or none. It's okay. If you need to rest, you need to rest. Getting a therapist, definitely recommend. Most of my friends in the city who are pursuing theater have therapists. It is a hard business to be in, and to have something designated every week to talk about what you're going through is so helpful. So if you can do that, I highly recommend it. And just make sure you're surrounding yourself with good people who keep you motivated and make you feel good about your life, about the business, that you can have fun with. And just, yeah, you're in control of your life. And when you come to New York, it can kind of feel like New York is controlling you, but it doesn't have to be that way. So take control where you can, and that's by taking care of yourself. On to the next one, which is kind of related a little bit. Number 8 is to embrace living in New York City. That's something I didn't quite do when I first moved here, I think because I was so much in the hustle, which is fine. But every so often, if you can, be a tourist here. Like, do the fun things. Go on a hop-on, hop-off bus. Go to the top of the Rock. Go to see the Statue of Liberty. Walk around the West Village for a day. Do fun, touristy things in New York, because what's really cool is, like, we get to move here to pursue our dreams, and then there are also, every time you walk down the street, there are people that flew here from all over the world to see this amazing city. So take advantage of the fact that we live here. We're busting our butt to pay this expensive rent, so we might as well enjoy living here. So embrace New York. Number 9, just always remember why this is all worth it. You probably, like me, have loved theater since you were a kid. You've been wanting to pursue it your whole life. You're finally here. And when it gets really, really hard, which it will, always sit back and remember why you're here. Keep reminding yourself of that. Keep that why really strong, and that'll keep you going. And with that, keep checking in with yourself, because some people come here and they realize either A, they're in it and they're like, this lifestyle is not for me, and that's okay. There are also people who come here and they're hustling and they're doing things, and then they discover other things that they are amazing at or that they love, and they end up transitioning to something else. I have a lot of friends who came here, got BFAs, moved to New York to pursue this, and then they like ended up down another path where they ended up so much happier than they were when they were pursuing a theater career. And both of those instances of just realizing it's not for you or feeling drawn to something else instead, they are both okay. They are more than okay. So I just want you to stay open-minded and know that your life is gonna happen the way it's gonna happen, and prioritize your happiness. So for me, there have been times where theater really was not making me happy. I was so stuck in all of the rejection and just how awful it feels to not be able to perform for a long time when your friends are making their Broadway debuts left and right and you're like stuck. And there have been times where I really struggled through that, and I kept my mind open to, okay, if I want to pursue something else, I can. But now I'm at a place where I have been able to kind of change my mindset about a lot of it, and I'm having a lot more fun, and I'm feeling a lot more positive about my career. And I think the fact that I was able to get myself to that place, I'm like, cool, I'm gonna keep doing it then. But if I get to a point where I am no longer happy and it is just becoming awful and draining and depressing, then I'll say, all right, let me see what else I can do. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, we want to be happy. We don't want to be killing ourselves to pursue this career. So your happiness comes first. But if you work on your mindset, work on that mental health, do all the things I told you, I know that you can do it if you really set your mind to it and stay positive and just go for it. Yeah, that's it. So after 8 years living in New York, that's what I've learned. And I wish I knew a lot of that when I first moved here, because I do think that would have helped me from a lot of like really low times in my journey here. But I'm glad I went through that so I can help people like you who are watching this. And again, if you ever need anything, reach out to me on Instagram. I love to help out, or comment here and I can answer. I could even do a Q&A if people have questions. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Also, I'm filming this right before Thanksgiving, so if you guys see this, happy Thanksgiving. I'm grateful for all of you, truly, like so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye!